Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is officially the luckiest episode in Missing Links history. It is lucky 13, and I'm joined by that mentally strong golfer, Andy Walker. Very mentally strong after last week's episode. I, of course, am Steve Hinks from the Missing Links Golf Show, and Andy Walker, welcome to lucky episode 13.
Thank you, Mr. Hinks. I actually do feel a lot stronger mentally after last week's episode. I don't know whether that's just something that I'll will eventually sort of get out into the golf course as well. But certainly sitting here and after listening to episode 12 a couple of times and after digesting a lot of what Neale has had to say, I do feel ready to get out there and crack on and be a lot better on the golf course.
Yeah, it's good to hear because I've got to say you're looking particularly mentally strong as we film this episode and record this episode. So that's great.
What physical traits lead to me looking
mentally strong?
Yeah,
I think there's an aura of calmness, of certainty. You look relatively unflappable at the moment. So I feel like all of those things are good indicators.
Well, I'm also feeling fairly good about where my game's heading after setting up the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Centre Central Coast. I feel as though that's doing my game the world of good. So I'm actually looking forward. I've got my first comp game coming up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that performs under the pressure of competition, because I had 9 holes and we'll get to it a little bit later on, but I was actually really happy with how I played over that 9 holes when I sort of snuck out last weekend.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear about this, and I'm also very excited for the announcement that you're going to be playing some competitive golf, because it has not escaped the notice of our listeners, the limited exposure that you have had to competitive golf since the starting of the show. So it's good to hear that you're going to rectify that, Andy Walker. And I am very intrigued to see if this newfound mental strength, swing confidence, swing mechanics stands up to the rigors of battle.
Yes. Yeah, look, I still haven't gone out and got myself a club fitting as yet. So I still haven't
gone out and got myself a coach as yet. So,
so there's still improvements to be made.
Yeah.
However, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I think though, we talked about, listeners being excited to hear about your announcements, and probably listener feedback is a good place to start.
Yes.
So there's a little bit that flowed through after last episode featuring Neale Smith. Neale, such an incredible wealth of knowledge. Really was a fascinating interview. I know both of us, we were chatting about it before, got a huge amount out of that interview. And I think, if you're just joining the show for the very first time, firstly, welcome. Great to have you on board. The more Missing Links is out there in the world, the better. But secondly, go back to episode 12 and have a listen, because Neale Smith, former PGA Tour pro, now a well-renowned and well-respected golf psychology coach on the PGA Tour. In fact, he was messaging me from the range at the American Express Championship recently. How good does that sound?
That's pretty cool.
How good is that? Yeah. A couple of photos from his guys getting their sessions in on the range, which is just awesome. And
just on that, what an incredible tournament it was to have the young amateur Nick Dunlap get up, helped out by Sam Burns, just absolutely destroying his last 2 holes. But what a result!
We all need some help every now and then. That was awesome.
Maybe Neale might get a phone call from Sam Burns after his capitulation on 17.
Well, Sam, if you're out there listening, you probably are a friend of the show. we can hook you up, brother. It's not a problem.
Absolutely. We've got contacts now.
Yeah. It's totally fine. And let's be
Mm.
honest, he's helped us. So, but we digress just a little because we were going to talk about some listener feedback. So,
Yes.
great episode, super episode. And we are going to go into a little bit of a review and a recap of some of those points in a moment. But Andy Walker, cop this for feedback. So this one came through to me and it says, please keep making the podcast. Listening before the round truly makes me play better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome feedback.
Isn't it though?
So we're inspiring better
Greatness in
golf.
others.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So
Now
now that we've achieved greatness ourselves, we're actually now
we're inspiring it
inspiring.
in others.
That's great to hear.
It is. It's true leadership in the golf industry right there. But to back that up, that's not just an empty statement, okay? Because this is a long-time listener, long-time friend of the show,
Yep.
and long-time feedback provider, pretty
Mm.
much every episode. So I think you know who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yes, but this magnificent specimen of a recreational weekend middle-aged golfer
Yep.
has, since our first episode, so in the time that the Missing Links Golf Show has been going, has dropped his handicap by approximately 20%.
Wow.
And it is my understanding that that has been without coaching, without practice, wholly and solely attributable to listening to the Missing Links Golf Show.
Wow.
Now, that might
So
be a slight exaggeration, but obviously we play a role, Andy Walker.
so when you say without coaching, I mean, should we start considering ourselves to be coaches?
Oh, virtual coaches, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
indirect.
Indirect, yeah. You're definitely
Yeah,
indirect, yeah.
indirect. Almost to a degree via osmosis, you might say. Definitely, there's been no coaching intention from either
No,
of us, but
no,
but
definitely not.
but
And
hey,
no credentials either, let's add. So,
oh,
you know.
look, I think all we bring to the table is our own exploration and
Mm.
attempts to improve, and if that helps others, then you know what, that's totally fine. So that was good. The next piece of feedback, I think you'll enjoy this, and this was in reference specifically to the previous episode, and it says, "Hey guys, I'm 12 minutes into the episode.
Yep.
Well done for bearing your souls to Neale about how bad your mental games really are."
It is a fact.
Yeah,
There are a couple of pretty honest moments there, which,
yeah,
you know, at the end of the day, and I was thinking about it because I've listened to the episode 3 times in the
mm.
past week, and I was sort of thinking if anyone was playing match play against
Oh, mate,
me and had
absolutely.
listened to the episode,
Yeah,
they must be going on about sort of 14, 15. I know what he's thinking.
yeah. This shot's pretty important, Andy Walker.
But the question is am I thinking that anymore?
Well, I think we'll get to that
Yes.
because it's a very good question.
Mm.
So there is that. Another one which I thought was a positive comment was very simple, very straight to the point. Neale is a legend.
Here's
I don't think anyone's going to disagree.
no.
And then another one which was actually directed at me, and I have had to edit this because we are attempting to keep our clean rating on
Yep.
iTunes. And it says, your putting thoughts are concerning.
Mm.
You really need to sort that bleep out.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I could not agree more.
Yep.
And I think we will get to a discussion on that later in the episode because
Okay.
strides have been made.
Well,
Andy
looking
Walker,
forward
strides have been
to
made.
listening to that.
Yes, I look forward to talking about it.
Mm.
Something else that's happened over the last week or so, which I think is also a really, really good step forward for the Missing Links Golf Show, has been the introduction on our Facebook page to some video work.
Yes.
AW.
Yes.
Couple
Yeah.
of
Just
reels,
a
keeping it
little
reels.
keeping it real.
Yeah.
Little bit of editing. I've learned how to do some video editing on the iPhone, which
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
exciting.
it's not that
You
hard.
wouldn't know it from watching
Let's
it.
let's face it, it's not that hard. Just pressing
Yeah,
the record button, then doing a bit of editing. But hey, it's a learning process, and you've got to
it
start
is.
at step
It
one.
is. It is. Which apparently you have. Um, Look, I think it's safe to say we can expect to see some more of that. A bit of
Yep.
footage out of the Missing Links Golf Show high performance centres, both Central Coast and Central West. Lots of good work being done there. To be honest, Central West High Performance Centre hasn't been getting much action lately,
Mm.
just due to having a house full of people. Great to
Yep.
have family around, kids, wife, parents. Everyone's been around here at the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Centre Central West, but that has made it
Have you been
difficult to
showing
swing it.
off the high performance center, like with your
I
visitors,
I
having a tour
I
of the center?
well, kind of like I've showed the kit to my dad, um, but
Do you let
it's
him
not.
have a crack?
No, it's not functional at the moment
No.
because cars are kind of going in and out, and it's a little bit to the side. Yeah, so he's seen it, he's
Mm.
excited,
Mm.
uh, and he hasn't had a chance to have a play with it, which is disappointing for him.
Mm. Mm. Oh, well, I'm sure that he'll get the opportunity at some stage, given he's not too far away.
Yeah, he probably will. I'd like to see some evidence of him hitting it a bit straighter though before I unleash him in the high performance center with the potential for holes in gyprock walls. But anyway, that's
Maybe get a couple of foam balls first, and give
yeah.
him a
Then now
crack with the foam
that
ball. So,
that's a good idea. What I
my,
haven't done either is try out the Titleist radar capture technology
all
balls.
right, yep.
I am keen to do that. There'll be a video coming
Mm.
um,
Mm.
at some point in the next couple of weeks. I hope.
Mm. Yes, I hope.
Promises, promises.
Yes.
Anyway, on that topic though, I do have a question for anyone that's out there listening, and we know that many people are. Drop us a note on the Facebook page if there is any kind of content that you're interested in seeing from the high performance centers, or even out on the course that you might want to see. Just a reel, keep it real.
Mm.
Happy to share. So there is that. You had a lot of views on one of your videos, Andy Walker, over 3,500 views.
I did the first one that was posted,
Yeah.
which well, actually, you posted it. It wasn't me posting it. I was because I'd taken a couple of videos, a front on and a
Mm.
side on, and I was going to try and see if I could upload both of them. But
Mm.
then after I sent them to you, you beat me to it and just uploaded the side on one, and
I got a bit trigger
away it
happy.
went.
Yeah, a little bit
Mm.
trigger happy. But anyway, sorry about that.
No,
Next
all
time.
good. Like
Next time.
three and a half thousand views. I was pretty happy with that.
It's pretty good. That's a record so far. So
Mm.
we want to beat that with the next one. So please share away, comment, like, engage. Apparently, engagement on social media, it's a thing. Who would
Mm.
have known? Who would have known? Not our area of expertise.
Who
But
would have
anyway,
thought social media would have included engagement?
yeah, I don't know. Someone would have. Anyway, it's okay. Moving on.
Mm.
I want to get back to last episode, a little bit of a review on last episode, because we've had quite a few conversations with this. I think I've listened to that episode about 4 or 5 times,
Yeah.
and I know you have a few times as well. And I know I got a lot out of it, and there's a few things that I would like to kind of highlight and share that we might talk about. But Andy Walker, I might throw it over to you to start with. Maybe to just sort of recap on what were those bits that you took from Neale's plethora of information that he incredibly generously shared with us.
Mm. Mm. Look, there were two in particular that I grabbed hold of and really resonated. The first one is the inside out versus outside in player. Now, the inside
Mm,
out is the player who focuses more on the technical aspect and focuses on swing thoughts. And
mm,
I think the way Neil explained it was you could have a curtain up in front of you, and doesn't matter sort of about the hole or
mm,
fairway or wherever the aim point is. You're looking at you're feeling your technique. So
mm.
it's coming from inside out, whereas the outside in player, and I think he was using Mark Leishman as an
Yep.
example, is the very visual, needs to picture the shot shape, needs to picture the target, and is using outside influences and
Mm,
bringing those into his pre-shot routine. Now, I figured out, and this was during my 9 holes on Saturday, that I'm a bit of a combination of both,
mm,
which is quite interesting. So the way I will go about it is that I'll stand behind the ball first up, and I will picture the shot. I'll picture the shot shape. I'll have a target area and where I want the ball to finish. But then as I move up to the ball, I'm purely inside out. So when I'm
That's interesting.
swinging, it's effectively a curtain up. I'm not giving any thought to where I want to hit it. It is purely one or two key swing thoughts that I'm focused on. So I found that quite interesting because I do like the visualization side of it, but
Mm,
in all honesty, I've never tried still having that swing picture, that visualization in my head when I'm actually standing over the ball and making a swing. It's always been, and this is right back to when I was playing seriously. It was always an inside out perspective.
interesting.
Mm.
I hadn't even ever thought about that until the conversation last week.
Yeah.
And like you, I think it's a little bit of both. I feel like I need to feel what sort of shape that I'm playing more as a feel than really a visual thing. But then there'll
Mm.
always be a couple of technical swing cues in the back of the mind as well, whether that's,
Yep.
what we've talked a little bit recently about footwork, but also it might be about the back shoulder, making sure that doesn't fly out and get over the top and some of those sorts
Mm.
of things.
Mm.
So I don't know. I really don't know. I probably don't know my game well enough
Yep.
in many respects to be able to answer that accurately.
Mm, mm. Yeah, no, I just found it really interesting because I've never really thought about it before. I just go and do what
Yeah.
I've always done, and that's my pre-shot routine. But to be able to define it in the way that Neale did, and then go out and go, oh yeah, that's what I do. So
Yeah.
first of all, it's outside in, but then when I'm standing over the ball, I'm inside out. So it's interesting. When he's on the show next, I might have a bit of a chat to him about that to see where he thinks that fits. And I know the mental game is very individual, and I'm sure he'd be okay with it if it works.
The other thing that he actually talked about, which I think I've heard referenced before, but I again don't fully understand it, was the third eye.
Yes.
I don't know if you picked up on that. He was talking about the third eye, which I think
Mm.
what he
That's the visualization
I think
aspect
so.
of it, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's holding the target in your mind whilst you're
Yes.
standing over the ball.
Mm.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well, I
quite
mean,
know where he was going to
Jack
start with.
Nicklaus always talked about going to the movies before he hit a shot,
That
and
sounds
that
weird.
was that was it. He just played almost like he was standing outside of his body, and he would see himself hitting the shot and the shot shape that he
Mm,
wanted to hit. Which again, that sort of starts to sort of become a little bit too far removed from where I'd like to be, but certainly visualization, which is sort of how I interpreted the third eye conversation. Yeah, that's the first part of what I do.
mm. Yeah, it is. It's new ground for me. I
Mm,
have to say, I hadn't really kind of gone into it that deeply,
yeah,
but anyway, that's good. All these
yeah.
things we learn
So
as we go.
that's the first thing, and the second thing that I really feel as though I got a lot out of. And this sort of again, when I played 9 holes on Saturday, there's the 13th hole at my home club where there's water all the way down the left hand side, pretty much from the tee all the way
Yep,
to the green.
yep.
And then they've got fairway bunkers down the right hand side. So there's not really a bailout area. I mean, it's safer obviously to go into the fairway bunkers than to go in the water, but almost every round I snap hook it into the water.
Mm,
It's one of those holes that it's just got me. It's I stand on the tee and I'm thinking, don't hit it left, and guess what I do?
yep. It's a bit
Yeah,
like 12 at Royal Dubbo.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, on Saturday, I was thinking about what Neil had said, and I decided to try just having the picture in my mind of hitting it towards the left-hand side of the fairway bunkers and just letting my natural shot shape bring it back onto the fairway.
Mm,
And that's all, like I shut everything else out, and that's all I focused on. And surprise, surprise, I've absolutely ripped it down the right-hand side of the
oh,
fairway
it's a simple game.
back to the middle of the fairway.
It's a simple game,
So
obviously.
I'm I'm sure that will happen every single time I play
Of
the
course it will.
13th now.
And particularly
Um,
now that you said it out loud.
yeah, absolutely,
So, you know,
absolutely. So yeah, look, I think that's something that I'm really going to work on those two aspects of really ingraining that, I guess, mentality of the outside in to start off with, but then when I'm standing over the ball, having a couple of really key swing thoughts and being, really taking advantage of that inside out perspective, but then also whenever it is that I'm challenged, whether it be I've hit a couple of bad hooks left or whatever. Again, just having a more positive focus cue to be able
mm.
to hit a better shot. So they're my two takeaways that I really feel as though I've grabbed hold of and run with over the past week.
No, they're good ones. They're good ones. They're slightly different to mine. I kind of took three things away in particular, and then there's another which I think we need to talk about briefly as well that I think we've both talked about since. So anyway, my three. The first one was the conversation about the self-talk and what you would allow or expect from a
Mm,
caddy, yet you
yes.
allow or give permission from yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That was such
that
a great
was
point.
it was just I love a perspective shifter.
Yep.
Like when someone drops a nugget of information that just changes the lens through which you look at
Mm,
certain things. And
mm,
and for me, that was a perfect example of that. And I think we've all been guilty of it. Everyone that's played golf is giving yourself an absolute roasting when you've played a bad shot or made a stupid decision. And
mm.
and just to kind of put it in those terms, uh, was actually really, really useful. And funnily enough, like in a moment, we'll talk about the round that I had after that interview.
Yep.
And I was listening to the comments that were made by the two guys that I was playing with, who I'd never met before. So,
Yep.
people I didn't know from Adam, but listening to some of the self talk that was coming out from them after shots and going, oh, that's interesting.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, obviously I didn't say anything, and I didn't think that was the time to say, oh, by the way, I was just talking to a golf psychologist from the PGA Tour, and what you just did there, he thinks that's a bad idea. I didn't think
So
during the middle of the round was probably the time for that.
So you didn't feel like you should maybe get their number to share episode 12 with them? Just say, look, I've got a podcast here that I
It,
reckon
it's
you'll really
it's
enjoy.
fine for after the round. I just didn't think it was okay to do it during the round. So anyway, the that was a really good point. The other one that I really really liked, again, perspective shifter and a good model to think about, was the etcher sketcher
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
about
That was brilliant. Absolutely
wiping the
brilliant.
slate clean.
Mm.
And what I really liked about that is, obviously, when we talked in that interview, that there's always going to be some, kind of scarring or memory or whatever the case, that you'd stand up over the next shot with. And it
Yep.
could be good or bad. Could be good or
Mm.
bad.
Yep.
But it's so important to really make sure that etch a sketch has been scratched clean before you
Yeah.
try and draw a new picture on it. And
Yep.
it was just such a visual way of explaining it,
Yeah.
and so simple to wrap your head around, that I thought
Yep.
was really cool. So those two things, those two nuggets, and to be honest, they would have made the interview worthwhile for me anyway if it was
Yeah,
that,
for
nothing
sure.
else. But
Mm.
the next one was really, really cool. And that was Neale specifically kind of gave me some homework to go and do, which was around
Yes.
doing the mental scorecard.
Yes.
And yeah, so this was interesting. So kind of good segue into the fact that the following weekend I was playing a medal round at Wentworth at a new course that I didn't know, with people that I didn't know. We talked about this before in previous episode, but I went in and I thought, well, I'll give this a go. And Neil had said there's a few ways of doing it. You can either, after every shot, give yourself a score out of 10 for following the
Yep.
process, or just basically do it as a yes, no.
Yes.
Yes, I did it. No, I didn't. I went with doing the yes, no, because I just didn't necessarily feel like I'd accurately be able to give it a score.
Mm.
And I'm glad that I went down that path, because it's harder to do than you think.
Well, I would
It's
have also thought trying to fill in two scorecards would
I know,
it
I know.
would be show. I mean, I have struggled at times filling in one scorecard and remembering to do that at the end of the hole, whereas two, yeah,
So
I think
and also bear in mind, I was trying to do it for every shot, not just
yes,
every hole.
yeah, yeah,
So I didn't do every shot. I did. Was adding it up earlier. I rated 49 out of my eventual 83 shots.
Okay. Yep.
So obviously there's no point doing things which is tap in putts or any of those sorts of things. And out of those 83 shots, a few of them were penalties as well. So I didn't think it was
Yep.
probably appropriate to rate the penalty drop, how focused I was as I was dropping the ball. But
Yep.
definitely the shot that led to that. The upshot of that was a couple of things. Firstly, it's harder to do than you think to
Yep.
actually recognize whether or not you were mentally in it completely or just partially.
Yep.
It's actually in itself is hard to do. And
Mm.
that is probably there's value in that, just doing that anyway, because of the fact that you're focusing on paying attention to whether or not you're actually focusing on what you're doing.
Yep.
So there was that element to it. The other thing was that I actually think I did better than I probably expected. So
Okay.
I calculated as a percentage
Yeah.
of those that I rated that I was, yes, committed and followed the process and was present for the whole shot, committed to the plan, focused on the plan, went through, versus the others where I might have been slightly distracted or not 100% focused as I could have
Mm.
been. I'm interested to get you to guess what you think my percentage of yes would have been.
Look, at this stage of the game, and certainly if I was thinking about it from my own perspective, I think that if anything above probably around 75%, I'd be relatively happy with.
Yeah, that's remarkable. It was 78%.
There you go. So you should be pretty happy with it, yeah?
That's ridiculous that you pulled
Yeah.
that out. And for anyone listening, that was not a setup. We have not
No.
had this conversation up to this
Mm.
point. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so it was. I rated it at 78% committed to the process.
Mm.
Obviously, then it's 22% not committed to the process because there was no middle ground. There was no partials.
It
I
was
had to say yes
yes
or
or
no.
no. Yep.
And what was interesting is that of two of the shots that when I rated it, I was not committed. They were both tee shots, both resulting in a lost ball off the tee.
Yep.
One of them resulted in a quadruple bogey, and the other resulted in a triple bogey because both times I
Right.
had to replay the tee shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
One was on the second hole, one was on the 10th hole. So
Par
that
72,
was playing past 70.
70. Okay. So
Yeah,
13 over, and
yeah,
what, seven out of the 13 over
on
was
two holes,
two holes.
yeah, and because it was medal round, it actually ended up being a played two rating of 11 and a half or 12 or something like that
Yep.
when you go through the process. So look, it it was a strange round, Andy Walker, because there was a quad, there was a triple, there was two doubles, and there was also two birdies.
Wow.
It was a
Okay.
colourful
So
scorecard.
so you add those again, you add those two doubles in there, that's another four over.
Yeah,
So you've got 11 over
yeah,
out of your 13
yeah, in four holes.
came on four holes. Now, if you think, and you go back to John Sermon and what he talks about in reducing,
Yeah, yeah,
that really bad score. If you just had bogeys
yeah,
on those four holes,
yeah.
all of a
I know,
sudden you've
I know.
eliminated what, seven shots,
Yeah, no,
and
no,
you've
no,
had six
absolutely.
over rather than 13.
Absolutely, and that's there's a lot in that. But it was it was really really interesting. The other thing that I think I took out of the process, which is why I would recommend the process,
Mm.
is I noticed a couple of things. I noticed I had obviously those two tee shots, but I had a little mini bad patch of where most of my no, not committed swings were
Right.
recorded was
That's
actually
interesting.
in a bit of a clump
Yep.
between holes 8, 9, and 10.
Do
And
you put that down to anything in particular?
well, I think it could be around you're far enough into the game to start to lose concentration a little bit. It could also be because it was an early morning tee off. I teed off at
Mm.
about 7:40.
Yep.
And it could have been the starting to get hungry
Yeah, that's what I was
situation.
thinking. Mm.
Because I've never been an eater on the course. So
Right. See,
that,
I always take a muesli bar or a couple of
yeah,
protein balls or something. So I've
yep,
always got my water. I've always got my snack. just to give myself a little bit more carbohydrate or protein on the way around.
Yeah, so that's actually something that I think I might want to introduce because
Yep.
I was interested when I saw it and I went, oh. But the good thing was because I was rating the shots as I was going, I actually noticed that I was having a little clump, and that
Yeah,
gave me
right.
that kind of gave me the awareness to be able to do something about it and to sort of
Yep.
recenter and get things back on track. Whereas
Mm.
if I wasn't doing that, then maybe that could have snowballed out of control and actually become a
Yeah,
really
yeah.
bad round,
Okay. Yep.
which was interesting. Another one of the poor shots was actually a chip around the green on the 16th hole where it was hot
Mm.
and 16's a long par four. And after you play the second shot in, it's about a 140-meter walk uphill. Um, and I was cooked by the time I got
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think I just got
that'll do
lazy
it.
on the shot. But again, realized that. And then, and I did take a moment to just really refocus and go, all right, I just need to commit on every swing from
Yep.
here for 17 and 18. And I parred both those holes on the way in. In fact, I nearly birdied 18.
Okay.
Left a short putt, probably like a 8 to 10 footer on the lip.
Nice.
So it could have been slightly better, but it was in it, just in itself, that exercise of rating your mental focus for every shot was actually incredibly powerful. I do want to do it
Mm.
on a regular basis, if not every round. I want to do it quite regularly because I actually learned a
Okay.
lot out of just doing it.
Right.
So I would absolutely recommend it.
Okay. Well, I might maybe try and integrate that into what I'm doing. If you've found that useful, then
Yeah.
that could be something that, yeah, I slip in there when I'm playing.
Yeah, I was surprised how insightful it was.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, and also, as I mentioned, helpful to catch yourself in the process and identify that you're having a blip.
Yep.
Um, that so, yeah, thanks, Neil. Well,
Mm.
way to go.
Nice.
Whilst we're on that topic as well, because that 83, as I mentioned, it ended up being a played two round of, I think, just under 12.
Yep.
That became a flag round for me.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that it did pop up when we were first talking about
Yes.
your score, and you said 13 over. I thought, oh, I wonder if that was a flag round.
That did become a flag round because my highest flag round prior to that was 13.6 or 13.9 or
Yep.
something like that.
Mm.
So the interesting thing is, as a result of that being a flag round, Andy Walker, my handicap index dropped to 9.9.
Back into single figures.
Yes.
Nice.
That's exciting.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. 9.9. Wow.
9.9.
So is that the lowest you've
That's
been? Not
equal lowest.
equal lowest. Yeah, yeah.
Equal lowest. I got to 9.9 for one whole round
Yep.
previously, and then a flag round dropped out and it went back to 10.0. And it's
So
kind of
how many
fluctuated around
flag
there.
rounds of how many rounds you got freebies before the next flag round drops
I
off?
think I've got another three.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got some
Yeah.
time this time. So
Yeah.
there's not a lot of pressure until you get to that last flag round and or the last freebie and you sort of
Yeah.
go, yeah, maybe the pressure's on a bit.
Yeah. So it's exciting.
Mm,
It's exciting. We could go low.
nice.
Mm,
Mm.
mm.
Oh, looking forward to 9 and then 8.5 and
For sure.
lower.
I mean, I'd just like to say the Missing Links Golf Show, yeah, it's just a show, two single digit golfers having a chat.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
All it is. All it is. No, that's exciting. So I really did enjoy it, and it was a good outcome. And I thought that it was, it was good to be able to, I think, sort out a few mental demons,
Yeah.
including putting. I do want to come back very quickly to that putting comment that was made earlier. You need to sort that
Yeah.
out. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And you know what? Here's the thing: because I've been negative and because I've been doubtful, I've been leaving a lot of putts short.
Yep.
Um, I don't know about you, Andy Walker, but very few, if any, of the putts that I leave short of the hole manage to fall in.
Usually that's what happens.
Mm.
They don't usually go in.
Yeah, they struggle to.
Mm.
So what I've really been focusing on is, obviously you read the putt, you line the putt up, all of those elements, but but committing, again, that word,
Yep.
committing to the putt and saying my one goal here, what I'm going to think about in a binary context is not whether or not the putt goes in, it's
Yep.
whether or not I get it past the hole.
Yep.
That's made a difference. Huge
Right.
difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Why
how
the
many
drop?
putts do you know how many putts you had on Saturday?
It was 32.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
You take that
32.
most rounds.
Yeah. And there was a lot of, I probably sunk a lot more in the 5 to 6 foot range than
Mm.
I have been doing recently.
Mm.
So that was good. And then again, it's on a course I don't know. So it's not
Yep.
because, it's stepping up, looking at it, hitting it. It was a lot better. It was much,
Mm.
much better. So that was exciting.
Oh,
So we
good.
can address that piece of listener
So
feedback.
so the putting demons gone.
Oh, I think it's a bit early. Um, it's a bit early for that.
One round? You're calling it?
Yeah, yeah. I
No.
think let's not get too excited. But
Okay.
what I like is that there's a process.
Yeah.
There is a way of dealing with that. It's not simply go out there and do the same thing as what's been
Mm.
done.
Yep.
There's something to work on. And what I really like is it's taking the focus away from the result of the putt as to whether it's going in the hole or not, and
Yep.
giving a process to look at. As we talked about, process goals rather than outcome goals are just that much more reliable and create less tension.
Mm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there you go. That's my story, Andy Walker. Have you had any adventures to share with all the
Well,
missing links out there?
only the 9 holes on Saturday where I actually played really well, and I played off the plates
Mm,
at my home club, and yeah, as I said, I felt as though I made some good gains mentally from our interview with Neale, but as you know, I've got a couple of swing changes that I'm making from my coaching session. Well, it was now almost a couple of months ago, or probably was a couple of months ago, with Joe Bannerman. And yeah, leading into Christmas, as we know, well, we don't need to cover old ground as
mm,
my health challenges coming into Christmas. So I didn't really spend a lot of time practicing over the or coming into Christmas, then over the Christmas break. But since I've set up the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Center Central Coast,
mm,
I have been working a lot in the high performance center. Of course, I do the majority of my work from home, which allows me a couple of times a day just to sneak out there and spend 10, 15 minutes just doing some practice, which, it's amazing how much difference it makes just having that consistency rather than once a week or
absolutely.
every 10 days going to the range and trying to hit some balls. And this was my conundrum at the end of
Yeah,
last year when I said I was going to just focus on spending some time at the range because I felt I really needed to work on these swing changes because they were pretty significant swing changes, and I didn't feel like competition golf was where I should be. However, the high performance center has completely changed the game. It's changed my outlook. It's changed what I'm doing. So I've been going out over the last probably 3 weeks. I've been going out and spending some time every day out in the high performance center, just working on these swing changes. And as
that is awesome.
yeah, so as we know, the couple of the main swing changes that I was making was in my takeaway, just keeping my arms in sync with my shoulders, because I was
Mm,
very
mm,
left hand and left arm dominant, which was throwing my hands and arms out of sync from my shoulders. Also making a full shoulder turn and staying down. I was lifting up and had the flying right elbow, so making a full shoulder turn and then just keeping my right elbow tucked in, which would then allow me to stay on plane through the ball. So that's what I've been working on. But quite interestingly, I've also had a bit of a look at a few YouTube videos. And I know sort of Tiger
ooh,
Woods says
ooh.
don't look at YouTube. And to a certain extent, I agree with him because there's a lot of rubbish
This is
on
dangerous
YouTube.
ground,
So
Andy
this
Walker.
yeah, this is, and this potentially could be a conversation of how you go about it. But I found where I started looking at and watching YouTube videos was more on when there's a club comparison, like the Titleist
Sure. Sure.
TSR versus the TaylorMade Stealth. So I'd watch these driver comparisons and club comparisons. But then there's some instructional
Mm,
videos, and I thought, look, I'm just gonna have a bit of a look, see
yeah.
what's there. And look, there's some rubbish there, and you've got to, I guess, sort out what's the rubbish and what's not. But
Mm,
there's a couple of videos that I've watched that have been really, really good. And they're talking about flattening your golf swing, and mainly with your downswing.
mm.
And this is,
Is
or
this
actually, it's not flattening, it's shallowing. It's
the
not
shallowing
flattening.
move?
It's
Yeah.
shallowing the downswing. And it sort of piqued my attention. So I watched a couple of the videos, and then I watched a couple more, and I found this one that just made sense. So I started to do some work, and the two things that I've started working on the downswing. One is widening my golf swing on the downswing. So that would be my first movement with my hands, is moving away from the target rather
Mm,
than straight down, or as I was, over the top.
mm,
And then the second thing is shallowing or flattening the shaft. So I'm coming in at a lot more shallower angle. So I've got my backswing thoughts, and then I've sort of worked in a couple of downswing thoughts, and just been working through that in the high performance center, and it has made a huge difference. As I said, on Saturday, 9 holes. Now I didn't hit everything flush, but I hit some great golf shots out there, a lot better than what
mm.
I'd been hitting it, well, for the last probably 25 years. I had one over,
It's pretty good.
yeah, off the plates at my home club, and felt as though I'd made some pretty significant gains. So firstly with my swing, but then with my mental game.
Mm,
And interestingly, because I got to the seventh hole, and I was one over. And I started going, oh, if I make a birdie, I could have even par for 9 holes. Or, I started, getting ahead of myself, which is one of the things that I usually do. And
that's
it's that
concerning.
awareness. I caught myself
Yep.
doing it, brought myself back to, no, you've got to focus on process, stay in the moment. And yeah, just felt like I did that really well. So it's not necessarily about eliminating. It's more about awareness and bringing yourself back into that present moment, and into good swing thoughts and keys. So yeah, a couple of so I'm really interested in how I go. By the time we do the next podcast, I would have played in my next competition round. So I'm really
Mm,
interested to see how I go
that is
in a
exciting.
comp round, to be able to take what I feel as though I'm doing, and the positive thoughts and the positive sort of swing keys that I'm feeling at the moment, and just applying that in a competitive environment.
Look, I've got high hopes for you, Andy Walker, because one thing that I think anyone that plays golf will understand is that once you have a particular feeling, and you feel that something's going well, nothing ever changes and that stays with you. So I think that
What are you saying?
I'm saying that I hope you go well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I hope you go well. No, it is exciting. I like the fact that you talked about you've always had some good takeaway thoughts, and now you're adding some downswing thoughts, which should also match quite nicely with the top of the backswing thoughts that we went through
Mm.
last week. So,
Yeah. Well,
um,
as I think we talked about this. I'm not sure if it was with Neil, or as a couple of episodes beforehand, but I do like to be technically correct
yeah,
in
I
in
think
my
that was a
golf
Dave
swing.
McClellan conversation actually.
Yeah. Well, Dave McCollin said I was very technical, and I was a technician.
Yeah, yeah.
However,
I think we
and
clarified
coming
that in
back
the episode
to,
after that, episode
yeah,
5, Andy Walker. That was my
thanks, Ed.
encyclopedic
I'll have to go back and
knowledge.
listen to episode 5. But I
Yeah.
do remember talking to Neale last week about, I was talking about the golfer that I felt, uh,
Mm,
was closest to how I wanted to play the game, which was Nick Faldo, where he was very technically correct, but he also went out in the golf course and played by feel. So
mm.
that's where I want to be. So certainly in my next competition round, what I'm thinking about in the high performance center and when I'm practicing is not what I'm going to be thinking about on the golf course. I am going to take one or two swing keys out there, but there was probably four or five that I was going through when I was practicing in the high performance center, and it's I won't be taking that out onto the golf course just quietly.
Yeah, I was also thinking a little bit about who I've modelled my game off, and I feel like inadvertently I'm attempting to model my game off Jordan Spieth. I think I've got the tee box down, which is sprayed
Mm.
everywhere, and now it's just a case of working on the recovery shots to
Mm.
get to that level.
See,
So
I
that's
was thinking you were modeling your game more on Mike Hussey or um,
no, no,
no.
no. This is a massive rabbit hole that we're going down here, Michael. No, I'm going to stick to golf. Okay, we're not going to talk
Okay.
about cricket players
Yeah.
because it'd probably be more Alan Border. But anyway,
Yeah. Go on.
I no, I feel like I'd like to model my game more off Juan Miguel Jimenez.
Mm, mm. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, there's a pretty key element that you probably need to start emulating, and that's standing on the right side of the ball.
let's put him in a mirror. Just flip that one, like now with your video editing skills, Andy Walker, you can flip that quite easily.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So no,
So the
it's
cigar, you're thinking
not a big
cigar?
not a big fan of
No.
cigar. No, no. Not really, a couple of things here. I'm not a big fan of smoking a cigar.
Mm,
Um, I'm also not a big fan of other people in the four ball smoking a cigar. I feel it's quite an overpowering
mm.
aroma.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't voiced that concern to anybody, and that's new. So if you're out there listening, Mickey Belafonte, probably looking at you. Food for thought.
Yeah. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I've had my fair share of being around smokers, having worked in the club industry at
Yes,
a couple of
yes,
different clubs. And I'm not sure if David McClellan mentioned it, but he was my first boss, gave me my first job, and one of
well,
my
that's the connection. Okay,
very first roles at Mollymook Golf Club was cleaning ashtrays from
yeah,
around the poker machines. And
so
having
good.
come from my folks owned a health food store when I was growing up, having come from
Yeah,
being a healthy outdoor sporting lifestyle to
yeah,
cleaning ashtrays was a bit of a shock, and it put me off smoking a bit, surprisingly.
yeah. No, it is definitely. It's massively off topic, but that's
Mm.
completely fine. Good
That's-
background and good
don't we
banter.
normally go off topic? I mean, this is just
That's
like standard for every
massively.
episode.
I know, I know. I do feel it's kind of my job to keep us on track.
Mm,
I'm not sure how that's worked out, but that kind of is the way that things roll. It's a bit like chairing a meeting sometimes. It's good conversation
mm,
going, so you let it
yes.
go.
Yep.
However, I've completely lost where we're up to. I think I think we've pretty much gone through the lessons learned out of Neale's interview. We've gone through the last rounds that have happened. What else do we need? Oh, there's an announcement. There is something that we do need to talk about here, Andy Walker. This is exciting. If this ever gets on YouTube, then this is probably more of a visual piece for us to look at. But some samples of merch have
Nice.
arrived.
Nice.
It's going to hold something up here. There's actually
Yep.
two things, but might look like one to start with, but it's actually two things.
Oh, that looks like a cap with
Oh, it is.
a Missing Links Golf Show logo on it and a ball marker.
Yeah,
Wow.
check that out.
That's quality. That is quality. I like it.
I don't know how good the focus is there, but
Not that good.
I think you get the impression. Look,
But look, if you go to the Facebook page or Insta page and you look at the logo
that's pretty
there
much what it is.
at the same time as you're watching the YouTube video, you'll
Yeah.
actually understand what the logo is.
Yes, you will. And look, it is, it's on the right track.
Yeah.
Okay, is
Okay.
what I'll say. I don't
Not not
feel
not not the final.
no, no.
No.
I don't think that we're quite there for production just
Yeah.
yet.
Right. Okay.
Um, I was quite impressed with the quality of the hat. Um, I
Okay.
did wear it for 9 holes. Found it very comfortable.
Yep.
It's a pretty good hat. It's nice. It's got a good, generous head size about it.
Mm.
You obviously won't be able to pick this up on the audio recording of the podcast, but if you're watching on YouTube, you may notice that I've got a reasonable sized melon. Um, and I felt that it was generously sized to fit over the old scone. So that was
Nice.
good.
Yep.
I thought the ball marker was excellent. Um, you see the little ball with the chain and the question
Yep.
mark on it on the green quite clearly.
So
It
you're happy
did.
with the ball marker? Is that
I,
the final
I think
version, or
I
you?
think we might just update the design of the ball marker a little bit because the words the golf show are a little bit small,
Oh, right. Okay.
hard to
Yep.
read.
Yep.
So we've got
Mm.
an updated version of the logo that might be a little bit better on.
Yep.
The only other thing that I was thinking as well is when it comes to commitment to your putt, I just don't know that the thumping big question mark in the center of the ball marker is the best visual to be looking at before you line your putt up. But hey, who knows? That might be my issue. We might know. I might need to recalibrate and say maybe that question mark is just it's the beautiful unknowns of golf, like
Well,
perhaps.
if it's the logo on the ball, surely you should have the logo on the opposite side to your line. So because
Yeah, but
so
it's on the ball marker, Andy Walker.
so yeah, but when you're lining up your putt,
Ball marker, Andy Walker.
yeah, but when you're lining up your putt, you
Yeah,
don't still have the ball marker down, surely.
yeah. I like to line the line up
Oh, when you're okay,
so I
yeah.
can
So
fiddle
but
with the
before
ball.
you're actually standing over it, not when you're
Yeah,
lining up your putt.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
understand. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yep.
Whilst I'm lining it up. I mean, I don't know about you. I prefer to have the ball marker down whilst I'm lining it up and moving the ball around potentially because I'm not a big fan of cheating.
No, I just throw the ball down anywhere and wherever it finishes, like that's where you putt from.
I've known
Isn't that
people
how it
like that.
works? No.
I've known people like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
the I mean, yeah, there's always that person that likes to mark their ball or with the marker in front of the ball
Oh,
and then put the
yeah. A
ball in front
couple
of
of
the marker.
stories there that I won't go
Yeah,
into, but
yeah,
anyway,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
very very well known
Yeah,
sports person that I played golf with. Yeah, did that,
yeah.
which I was quite unimpressed with. But yeah, let's leave that there and no names mentioned.
There's so many clues that I could throw out about this particular
Yeah, don't
sporting identity
don't.
right now.
Yeah, no, don't
If you're out
please.
there listening, you know who you are, friend of the show. Oh,
Yeah.
skirting so close to the very
Yep.
controversial wind.
Yes.
Let's back away from that conversation before we say something we
Yeah.
regret. And
Quickly.
yep, yep.
Mm.
Anyway, um, so completely different. No, wrap that topic up. Missing Links merch is very much on the way. I'm hopeful. I'm looking at placing another order of a few samples, and I think this time with the hat with some embroidery on it. Now that we've
Oh,
done
nice.
another version of the
Because that's just a
logo, will
print,
be the
isn't it?
go.
The current
This one is
version's
a
a print.
print. This is
Yep.
a print, and it was really always going to just be a sample just to see how it would look.
Yep.
Um, I actually really like it. I think it looks
Mm.
great. I think the
Nice.
colors work.
Yep.
Yes, a white hat might get a little dirty at times, but that's cool.
Can always wash it,
We can
can't
all
you?
the other thing that we can do is we've done a transparent version of the logo that we can do another colored hat. So if
Oh, yeah.
people sort of think I really want a red hat or a blue hat or a black
Mm.
hat or something, we can do that.
Mm.
So anyway, that's good. So we're looking at another round of samples, and then I think we can get into production and start
Some
selling these
production.
things, Andy Walker,
Nice.
and
Nice. I like
awarding
it.
them to guests. Maybe having some kind of a competition throughout the
Mm.
year.
Yep.
I don't know. So many possibilities. So anyway, that's the merch update, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being patient. The last point. This is an important point. We don't have a huge amount of time left to talk about this, but I think there's a little bit of time to squeeze it in, and that is that in exciting news, Golf New South Wales has updated and released its 2024 calendar.
Yes.
I think we should probably try and identify some events that we're going to commit to.
Yep.
Andy
I
Walker, have
agree.
you had a chance to think about that?
Yes, yeah, I have, and in all honesty, I think the past 3 years I've looked at Golf New South Wales events calendar and gone, this would be a good event, and this would be a good event, and this would be a good event, and
Mm.
I usually get to maybe one, maybe two during the year. So look, I've identified six
Ooh,
events, of which
it's a lot of events.
three of them are actually New South Wales championships. So multi-day events. So we'll see how though they're probably stretch goals.
Mm.
One of them you're too young for.
Ooh, this is exciting. This is
Mm,
big news. Would
yeah,
this happen to be in the middle of March?
actually, the first weekend of March.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Up around,
when we're
up around
talking about
Tamworth,
my
potentially?
Tamworth and what's the other one called? I had a
Starts with
mental
an L.
blank.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I've might remember the conversation around my business and my workload, in that I usually have a really busy month followed by a quiet month followed by
Mm.
something in the middle. Well, February is actually my really busy month, right?
Ooh.
So I've got sort of the middle month in January, the how we're going. We're almost at the end of January, and I'm coming into my busy month. But then March is my quiet month. So I'm
Ooh.
thinking the first weekend in March. Now I do have a wedding to go to in the middle weekend of March, but the weekend before don't have anything on at this point in time.
Oh,
So
that's exciting. But correct me if I'm wrong, is not this tournament midweek?
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to work from my better half and kids and all the rest. I haven't figured out the logistics of it yet, because
Oh,
we
I think
did.
that can be done.
Yeah, we had a text conversation about it earlier today, and sort of mentioned, yeah, let's have a look at the schedule for recording tonight. And I saw that, and I just put it on the list and went, you know what, that'd be a great event to play in, with no
Jeez.
understanding of how I'm going to do it at this point in time. But
Oh, I think we've got to
um,
put it out there. It's got to be
yeah,
done.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
exciting.
yeah. So
So
so yeah, so
assuming so I mean let's call it for what it is though, ladies and gentlemen. The tournament is like this is integral to the spirit of this show.
yep, yep. So it's the New South Wales Senior Amateur Championship.
It's the big one.
Mm, yeah.
Does this mean do I have to caddy?
Yeah, that was the deal, wasn't it?
Is that the agreement?
Yeah, yeah, it was. Yep.
Crikey. How am I going to pull that off?
Until you reach the mature age,
Mm,
the juniors always have to caddy for the seniors.
how funny is that? You go out there. Oh, I brought the young bloke along.
See,
Ah,
that's what it is.
that is gold. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. We got to work towards this because that's
yeah.
exciting. This is the first I've heard of it, so I'm excited.
Mm, So yeah, so that's the first one that just jumped out at me when I was looking down the list of
Oh yeah.
potential events. So then we've got the New South Wales Country Championships,
Mm.
which I believe is out at Parks this year.
Oh, okay.
So that could
When's
be a
that?
bit of a winner. I think that's later in the year. It's sort of around maybe October-ish, I think it
Right.
might be. So it's about the
Handicap
time of
cutoff?
the not sure. That's not one thing that I usually look at.
I'm going to guess it's 9.9.
Mm, 9.8, I believe. Um,
Oh, that's
so
exciting.
so yeah, and but that's about the time of the Missing Links Masters. So again, this list that I've put down, I've just grabbed events and don't know
Mm,
how it's going to work in the schedule, but these are just targets that maybe on the maybe end up being a more definitive list a little bit later on.
mm,
So the New South Wales Mid Amateur, which is at the end of May, I
mm.
think could be an interesting one. And I think, hang on, I'm actually going to look this up on the website, because
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, live Googling on the show. This is great.
Golf
I feel like
New
I've got to
South
do a bit of
Wales
stocking filling whilst Andy Walker's
events.
doing this.
Because I actually didn't actually write down where they are, which I probably should have.
Oh, it's nothing better than content creation on the fly. Um, Really is quite spectacular. What about? The Macquarie Cup, Andy Walker, is that on your list still?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Macquarie Cup. That was the next on the list that I was thinking is that yeah, would love to come out to Dubbo and have a couple of rounds
Great,
because it's
great
36
regional
holes, isn't
course.
it? The Macquarie Cup.
36 holes. Yeah, it's over 2 days. I think it's the Easter weekend, the Easter long weekend.
Yes. Yeah.
Macquarie Cup.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I definitely think that that the yeah that the Macquarie Cup's on the list. So yeah, just coming back to the New South Wales Mid Amateur, Sunday, May the 26th to Tuesday, May the 28th at the Link Shell Cove and Wollongong. I was going to say Wollongong was one of the
Oh, yep.
courses. It's
Yep.
also
The
the
mid
Link
am.
Shell Cove. So yeah, at the end of May.
Oof. End of May.
So that could be on the agenda. My old stomping ground, the Melmock Open. That's in August.
Mm.
Wouldn't mind going back down again. The Mollymook Open was the only event I didn't win at Mollymook
Oof.
Golf Club as a junior. So
Unfinished
good,
business.
yeah, good mate of mine who was actually my best man. So you know who I'm
Yeah,
talking
Scotty
about,
Fisher,
Scotty Fisher. He won the
friend of the
Mollymook
show.
Open and has always
Doesn't let
rubbed
you
it
forget it.
in that he actually has won the Mollymook Open and I haven't. So
Yes, yes.
yeah, would
He,
love to
he is
love.
he is very much a friend of the show, though. I think
He is.
shout out to Scotty. Yeah, shout out
Look,
to Scotty.
and look, I mean, Scotty, he did spend a little bit of time, full time on mainly around Oceania and through the Pacific. Played in quite a number of tournaments. Did reasonably well,
Mm.
and then he had a few injuries and a few sort of niggles that prevented him from really sort of taking it, to where he wanted to go. But I think he'd be an interesting character to get on the show to have a chat about
Yes,
life on tour.
yes, yes. And in fact, more than that, Scotty Fisher, also a teaching professional,
Yes.
has been at a number of courses
Yes.
throughout his career.
Mm.
I'm interested whether or not he would like to have a foray into the virtual coaching world. I might have to have a
Ooh.
conversation with Scotty Fisher.
I actually hadn't thought about that, but that's potentially, yeah. Yeah, I'd definitely ask that question.
That's not a bad idea.
Mm.
Let's explore further.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
And the last one on the list is going back to our old Missing Links Masters stomping ground because it's the 100th Hun Open at Duntry League
Dantry.
at in November. So I know we gave Duntry
Oof.
a miss last year for the Missing Links Masters, but it's the 100th
Yeah,
Hun
yeah,
Open. So I don't know. That's
yeah,
that's on the list, and yeah, we'll just need to talk about that a little bit
yeah.
more.
Look, it could absolutely be done. Yeah, that's a conversation for another day for sure. But look, that's a good
Yeah.
list. That's a good
Yeah.
list.
So there's six on there, of which I
Mm,
I think there's a couple of sort of stretch
mm,
goals there, and a couple for further discussion. But I certainly
mm.
think that the Macquarie Cup is almost a certainty, and I'd like to think the Monmouth Open is a certainty. The others, yeah, I think we'll just need to maybe explore those a little bit further.
Oh, this is a very, very exciting development in the history of the
Mm,
Missing Links Golf Show.
mm,
Having a
mm.
competitive calendar, it almost
Yeah.
feels like a mini tour that
Yes, it
we've
does. It
arranged.
does.
That is
Yep.
exciting.
Yep.
That is
Yep. So I
exciting.
think that in conjunction with and I think we talked about my competitions. I'm going to try and get play a competition probably every second week if I can. I think that's quite a good
Yep,
starting point for 2024 for me to
I think that's good.
then sort of launch into a little bit more possibly in a year or two.
No, I think that's good, and I like the fact that you took the feedback on board. Well done, Andy Walker, and obviously the installation of the Missing Links Golf Show High Performance Centre Central Coast has assisted in getting into that place,
Absolutely.
which is good to see.
Mm.
Um, we've ticked over the hour. We're pretty much there, but there is one last very, very quick discussion item that I would like to raise, and I feel like it's a segment that we might call "How Good Is Golf?"
Yep.
Um, because we all know it's a great game. Why is it a great game? It's a great game because of the people, Andy Walker. It's a great game because of the people. Two stories on how good is golf for you this week.
Yep.
I mentioned that the comp that I played at Wentworth Golf Club recently. We talked about the round, but the two guys that I was paired up with, two members of Wentworth Golf Club, I believe they'd not met each other before either. So the
Right.
three of us were a group of three
Yep.
randos thrown together.
Yep.
Andy and Bo, it was an absolute pleasure having a round of golf with you boys. If you're out there listening, I'm sure you are. Yeah, really good, solid humans. Couldn't have been more welcoming and friendly to the club. And I
Nice.
think that's something that golf can do that no other sport does, because
Mm. Mm.
just happened to be in town, put my name down, had a round of golf with two blokes. Amazingly, we all shot exactly the same net score,
Wow. Wow.
which was
Very,
crazy.
very social.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy.
Mm.
But a fantastic day out. Really enjoyed that. My
Mm.
second how good is golf story is last week I had a catch up with the boys from the original Missing Links Golf Club,
Oh,
after
nice.
which our show is named.
Yes.
Now this is dating back. This is like 16 years ago, Andy
Yeah.
Walker.
Yep.
A long, long time. Not as long as we've known each other, but still a long, long time. And I've got to say, the mateships are still just as strong as ever.
Yep.
Fantastic bunch of guys. And it was a really, really good evening, chatting about where everyone's up to in life and all the various things that are going on, and just that sort of good non-work related mateship that I
Yep.
don't think you get the opportunity to have in too
Mm.
many other avenues. So,
Yep.
ladies and gentlemen, how good is golf? That's how
Mm.
good it is. Get on board.
Yeah.
Great sport.
Yeah, look, and I certainly agree with, and the first point that you made in being able to spend 4 hours with, your playing partners, to get to know them, have some conversations, massive networking opportunities as well within golf. And you come back to, say, cricket,
Mm,
and you're either, batting, you're either out in the middle, or you're with your teammates. When you're fielding, you're obviously in the field. You're not really spending too much time with the opposition. Yeah, you might have a beer at the end of the match, but that's really about it.
mm,
Whereas golf, you just get the opportunity to spend quality time just getting to know people as human beings, and
mm.
getting to know who they are, what they do, and just having, yeah, a bit more of an in-depth connection with your playing partners.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, as I said, really good guys. Couldn't have been made to feel more welcome
Mm.
as a visitor at the club. So I do absolutely appreciate that. Um, Andy Walker, I think that pretty much brings us to a close for
Yes,
lucky 13.
lucky 13. We'll have to get to 87. That's our next lucky number, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 37's never had the same ring to it, to
No,
be honest. You
no,
know,
no,
50s don't really care.
no, no.
Job's half done.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So
87.
87. That's a
Yeah,
key.
we got a little
Certainly
while to
in the cricketing world, the 87's
87 is
a
key.
very, very key
Yep.
score.
I think it's fair to say I will be eligible to play the New South Wales Senior Amateur Championships before we get to episode 87. So
Unless we start doing two a week,
who's
which is
got the time?
probably unlikely.
He's got the time. He's
Yeah.
got the time to listen to a week. Is more the point. But anyway, on that note, I think that is us for this evening. It's been great to catch up. And everybody, please jump on those social channels. Get on the Missing Links Golf Show on Facebook. Give us a like. Drop a question. Watch a reel. All those sorts of things you can do. Please do it. You'll find us on Insta, Missing Links Golf. We're also there. You could also, if you felt the urge, get on and give us a review of the podcast on your podcasting service of choice. That might be iTunes, it might be Spotify, that might be iHeartRadio. I don't know. It could be anything. You might be one of the random people that listen to us on the what is it, the Amazon Home system or something.
Yeah.
So someone's
Yeah.
someone's been blaring us around the house as they're going
Mm.
about doing the vacuuming or something like that. I think that's
I
interesting.
was actually listening to one of the Newcastle radio stations, and they were talking about them being on the Listener app. And apparently you can listen to podcasts on the Listener app
Yeah,
as
I
well.
don't think we're on it.
Mm.
And
Well, don't go onto the Listener app. Try and listen to the Missing Links Golf Show
I
then.
think, I think we're on pretty much everything else. So I don't think we're on the listener app. We might need to get on that.
Yeah.
Leave it with me.
Well, now,
I'll let
now
you
that
know
I've
next time.
mentioned it,
Yeah.
we need to get
Yeah.
on it.
I feel you're right. Jeez, you could word me up on these things
Yeah, I
beforehand,
know.
Andy
Well,
Walker. Anyway, that's all
just
good.
add it to your task list.
Yeah, no, no, it's good. It's good. It's good. So please get on there. Reviews are good. Just drop a review. What you've learned. I don't know. Just as an example, something like keep making the podcast listening before the round truly makes me play better. That'd be a
How
good
good,
review,
how
just as
good's
an
that
idea.
feedback?
Yeah, just slide that one in there.
Mm.
But we do enjoy it. We do love it. It's great to hear that we've helped some of our listeners achieve a handicap reduction of around 20%. So that's the product promise. Keep listening. You too can drop 20% off your handicap.
Mm. We,
It's
we, we
that
need to
simple.
actually make that our mandate as well. That start sort of putting some of those things in there.
Yeah. So mine's dropped by 1% since the show started.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's probably not
Do you know?
enough.
Do you know how much mine's dropped?
Yeah, I think you might have gone up. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a lot of fun. Andy Walker, good to chat.
Have a good week, guys.